Look at that truck. Well, that thing is all decked out. They got every toy possible on that thing. I just stopped to get some gas. It went back to $4.13 a gallon this morning. It was $4.23, which is crazy. When I was in Newport last time, it was back down to $3.94. 20-cent difference or whatever. You have to have a plan of what you're going to do today. And hopefully that plan includes what you're going to do for Jesus Christ today. Now, you don't always have to stick to your plan 100%. But it's just common law of physics. I mean, seriously, it's the physics, the law of physics, the way God created them, the law of mathematical, the law of numbers. If you're not always progressively moving forward, doing something for the Lord, then you become stale, like stale bread. You don't eat the same bread your whole life. No, you make new bread every week. You wouldn't drink coffee from last month. At least I hope you would. I say, you wouldn't eat food out of a garbage can, but a lot of people today, homeless people, eat food right out of the garbage can. I see them walk right up to the Safeway and pull food out of the garbage can and stand there and eat it right next to the front door. They're not hungry, they're not starving, they're just lazy. They don't want to get a job. And here's the deal. Once you go down the road of stagnation, now pay attention, maybe some of you don't know what that word means. It means you're stale, like stale bread or food, stale food, boring blah food. God made an apple to taste sweet. A peach tastes sweet. Grapes are sweet. God put the flavor in the food. He put the flavor in you, but you become stale and dry, okay? Because you're not moving forward with the Lord. You ever go through a stale period in your life? I mean, a lot of people, 2, 3, 4, 8 years of staleness in a row. And they don't know what's happening. Because you're not doing the work. I mean, you might have a job paying $30 an hour. You might have a new truck. You might have a nice house. You might have a nice wife. Like that song says, you might have a fancy car, you might have a fancy house. You know the song, the rock and roll song. But you're dull, D-U-L-L. You're dull, you're bored stiff. You're looking around to your left, you look to your right, you look in front of you, behind you, you look up in the sky, you look at the ground. You're bored stiff. You don't know what to do in life. You become stagnant like a pond. A pond will become poisonous if the water is not always moving and filtering. Like a fish tank. I'll explain it to you this way. Just like a fish tank, if you don't have a filter in your fish tank, the fish will be dead in a month. Because the water needs to be moving. The oxygen needs to be moving. Now, I live next to the ocean, and you notice how God made the ocean to where it's always moving and breathing. The ocean is a living thing that God made with all these living creatures inside of it. And it's moving, it's breathing, it's getting oxygen, it's releasing it, it's absorbing it. All the streams on Earth go into the ocean and then the ocean produces clouds and storms, and rain goes back out to the streams. Oh, it's a fascinating process. And everyone knows how it works in general terms. But if you do not become like that, if the ocean stopped for 3 days, everything would start dying and floating to the top, and there would be a stink like you've never... The whole earth would start smelling and stinking. If the ocean ever stops moving. Well, the same thing. That's the one thing I say about elderly people over 60 years old. If you don't leave your house every day and walk 3 miles, you're going to start suffering. They say, well, I can't, I don't have time to do that. I'm stuck in my house. And I say, you don't have time to not do it. You have to do it. It's a requirement to keep your health, to keep moving forward. The same thing with money. You want to know how you beat inflation, how you beat high prices, how you beat all this stuff? You live on 75% of what you have, and you save 25% your whole life, and you'll never have to worry about it. I mean, there's going to be people with excuses a mile long. Everybody has excuses. But only a few people have results. Like this road in front of us. If you don't keep maintaining this road every few weeks, the road will go away and start to decay and crumble. You won't even be able to drive this nice, smooth, useful road. It's so beautiful. Here it comes. Whoa, whoa, check this guy out. Speed limit's 45. He's doing 60 right now. And the highway patrolman is always down just around the corner. There goes another guy from California doing 60 miles an hour in a 45. Their lives are going to be stagnated, stale. They're not doing the work. But they're going very fast. And I guarantee we'll both end up, you know, an hour down the road, we'll both end up in the exact same place. I mean, it doesn't bother me. They don't affect my life. That person honked for me to get out of the way. That wasn't me honking, that was them. I'm doing 45 in a 45. And 50% of you out there are annoyed by that. Think about it. You know you are, admit it. You're like, oh, I hate those people that go the speed limit, man. I'm here to tell you, time. I'm going to make a big, long, like 90-minute video on time coming up here in the future because it's on my heart. Time is the one thing you will never get back. You'll never get back your time on earth. Never. I don't care what you do, you'll never get it back. I don't care how rich you are or how poor you are. You'll never get yesterday back. When you go to heaven one day, I pray you do, through Jesus Christ, you'll never get yesterday back. You'll never get your time back on earth. You'll live the 1,000-year reign of Christ if you were raptured or died during the tribulation for Christ. But if you died outside of Christ, you won't live during that 1,000-year reign of Christ. No. You'll be stuck in the holding place for 1,000 years with the devil. He will be chained for 1,000 years and let loose for a short time at the end to see who he can go around and deceive, which blows my mind. He will probably deceive a lot of people who never became saved before the rapture. Or they were born. They say there's going to be people born during the 1,000 years. That's what the ministers say. But you, today, 2025, September, pretty soon it's going to be October, November, December, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's. And you're not ready, you're gonna waste $3,000-$4,000. Some people waste $15,000 on Christmas. Some rich people. What you're really trying to do is buy back your time. You're trying to get your time back. You're trying to get a hold of your life, and it's not working. Now, let me say one thing about those people that just passed me in those brand new $65,000 cars. They just drove. Now think about this, and then I'll let you go here. They just drove down one of the most beautiful roads on the entire west coast of the United States of America. Do you think they saw anything? Do you think they enjoyed anything? Here comes another one. From Nevada. He's going a little slower though. He's got one of those things on top. He's probably enjoying life at least 50%. Do you think they even know that they just drove by like 25 of the most beautiful lakes on the West Coast? Do you think they went to Old Town Florence and or downtown Waldport or downtown Reedsport and got one of the best coffees they've ever had in their life? And went over to the water and just sat there and drank their coffee for a half hour and enjoyed their life? I just passed another lake right there. Do you think that they slowed down enough to know that there's literally tens of thousands of tree frogs in this area? There's like 65 different kinds of reptiles and animals in this area. There's dozens of different birds around here. Do you think any of these people stopped going down this road and said, hey, let's hike 2 miles out to the ocean this morning? Nope, never did it. Oh no. What they do is they got 48 hours. They have to be back in Northern California going to their 60-hour-a-week job. Or maybe they got 72 hours. You know, that's still the most popular thing to do in Las Vegas. Is the 3 days, 3 nights and 4 days. And people think they did something. Nope. Look at how beautiful that looks there. You know, I lived in the Rocky Mountains for 9 years, and I drove around for 9 years all over Colorado. Literally, there's not a road in Colorado I probably haven't been on, as long as it was a public road. It wasn't a private road, but there's not a public road, highway, back road, campground I've not gone to at least 3 times each. In some places, I've gone 300 times. I went to the Garden of Gods in Colorado. I used to live right next to it for 9 years, right down the street. I went there 5 days a week for 9 years. Figure that out. That's 300 times a year. Went there 3 times 9, over 2,500 times to the Garden of Gods. Think about it. Think about how amazing that is. And I used to sit there and watch people just fly right by and do nothing. Look at this good old boy in this old Toyota. I bet that thing runs good. You know, it's just an old pickup from like the early 80s, or maybe somewhere around there. Maybe a little newer, the late 80s. But it runs fantastic. I bet the guy knows every part on that truck. He probably put it on there himself. That's a guy who's enjoying his life. It doesn't do you any good to have a $600,000 house in Northern California and 2 $70,000 vehicles in your driveway that you're making payments on. And $10,000 to $15,000 on your credit cards that you owe, which is nothing for those people down there. They just pay that off in 2 or 3 months. It doesn't do any good to make $200,000 a year if you never stop and look at anything. Like this trees or the lake. You know, I talk to a lot of people, and I see a lot of rich guys flying through here. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh yeah, okay. Or some guys will come up right up to me and go, these rich guys will go, I need to ask a couple questions. You look like a guy who knows the area. I say, yep, that's me. I'm one of the hillbillies. And they'll ask me questions, and we'll start talking, and their wife's standing there just amazed at some of the things, you know, I'm telling her husband. It doesn't mean I'm good and they're bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not judging them. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm telling them, I say, so, when's the last time you went bass fishing? And the guy says, oh, man, you know, I used to go all the time when I was young. I'd love to go. I don't have the time. I work 60 or 70 hours a week. I own 3 companies. I say, well, it's the old thing. You can have time or you can have money. I said, but you know, have you ever thought, I said, you're getting like 55 years old. Have you ever thought about just selling everything and taking your wife out here to a little cabin and just enjoying the rest of your life? Just slow down. You got enough money to do that now around here. And they know I'm very genuine, and they look at me and say, yes, we have thought about it. I say, well, the clock's a-ticking, my new friend. Maybe I'll see you up here next year. I talked to a guy at the beach once. And the very next year I saw him at the beach. He said, I took your advice and moved here from Portland. The guy was making $100,000 a year in Portland. He said, nope. He said, best thing I ever did, he says, we were going to do it, and talking to you for 20 minutes at the beach finally was the last straw that talked us into it. He said, now we live out on the coast. I said, fantastic. I'll see you at the beach once in a while. I mean, the guy had like $1 million and he was living in downtown Portland working 80 hours a week and he couldn't breathe. And he was getting bad health, reports from his doctor. And now he lives out here, not in this area. He lives a little north, actually. He lives out here and he's perfectly healthy and happy. And he only makes about $40,000 a year out here, and he's happy every time. I've seen him like 3 times in the past 5 or 6 years. And he's always smiling. Well, that's the thing. You're not enjoying your life. You'll never get your time back. Maybe this is the video that will finally wake you up.